Raider Nation, what's going on? It's Mitchell Renz here, host of the Raiders Report. And coming up on today's show, I'm going to go through the top 10 veteran quarterbacks that the Las Vegas Raiders should target this offseason. I wouldn't be able to do today's show if it wasn't for our awesome sponsor, 8 Sleep. And if you're like me, don't get me wrong, man, there's some nights that I cannot sleep well. Or, this is a big one, Alex loves the room hot. I wake up and I am sweating. Thanks to 8 Sleep, I sleep like a baby and I wake up not wet. So go to 8sleep.com/chatsports for $200 off the pod cover. That link's going to be available to y'all down in the comments and down in the description of today's show. So on today's show, again, I am ranking the top 10 veteran quarterbacks that the Raiders should target this offseason. And when I say veteran, I literally mean like if you've been in the league for longer than 1 year, then you're going to be considered a veteran for this video. Why do we got to find a QB? Because you cannot go back to Aiden O'Connell. Jimmy Garoppolo, his ass is getting cut. And Brian Hoyer, how he has been able to stay in the NFL at this point is, well, a modern day miracle. If you find yourself looking for Raiders quarterback videos the entire offseason, whether it's free agency, whether it's trades, whether it's the NFL draft, the biggest thing that Tom Telesco and Antonio Pierce have to get right this offseason, it's finding a quarterback. And I'm not talking like you can't go from Derek Carr to Jimmy Garoppolo. We need to actually improve at the QB position this offseason. So if you find yourself wondering who's going to be the Raiders quarterback this season, and if you don't, you might want to check your pulse. Hit that subscribe button, turn on those notifications. So before we get into my top 10 list, here are some honorable mentions. And with all the rumors going around about Caleb Williams potentially joining the Commanders, Sam Howell's on this list. Jacoby Brissett makes it as well. Gardner Minshew, and then Joe Flacco. The bottom line of this show is this. Outside of the top 2 options, I don't really think that y'all are going to be all that excited about any of these quarterbacks. So it's more of, hey, Telesco, hey, Pierce, if you're going to go out and get one of these people, it better be the top 2. If it's not that, I don't know what the hell we're going to be doing for this season. So let's go to number 10 on my list. It's Sam Darnold, who started with the New York Jets. Then he went out to the San Francisco 49ers. I know what it says. It's all good. But for Darnold, throughout the entirety of his career, he's had a 59.7% completion percentage in 66 games, over 12,000 passing yards, 63 touchdowns, 56 interceptions. He was drafted at number 3 overall a few years ago from USC. He's got a strong arm, but it's been a lot of inconsistencies. Again, I am just trying to outline the top 10 QBs. I do not want the Raiders to sign Sam Darnold. Hell, if they did, it better be in the exact same role that he had this past season with the Niners and just a backup role. Let's go to number 9 here, Mac Jones. I know we don't got what's his name anymore, McDaniels, but he was a first-round quarterback that was drafted. It's not going to cost a lot of money to bring him in. Could you have a QB that could compete with Aiden O'Connell? Yes, I'll be real. I would rather the Raiders just keep Aiden O'Connell instead of bringing in Mac Jones because to me they are the exact same quarterback. Yes, I do think Mac Jones is a little bit better, but why bring in another QB like Aiden if you don't like Aiden O'Connell? So I got to know, who's one quarterback you don't? I'm talking do not want the Raiders to get this offseason. The number 1 quarterback for me last offseason was Jimmy Garoppolo, and you already knew that. I just feel like Josh McDaniels had to rub it in all of our faces, which he did time and time again. That might be TMI. So give me one quarterback you don't want the Raiders to get this offseason. At number 8, it's Zach Wilson. This definitely could be a QB that I don't want the Raiders to get, but I am intrigued by him coming to Las Vegas in the exact same way of why Sam Darnold goes anywhere else. He was drafted at number 2 overall. This is a team that's obviously looking at Aaron Rodgers, and Wilson, I think, just needs to get the hell out of New York. And since he's been drafted, it has not been very good. Like, there's no positive way that you can possibly spin his career. But sometimes you need a change of scenery. And Zach Wilson, I don't think he's probably right up there with Aiden O'Connell in terms of how much I trust a quarterback, but he is much more athletic with his legs than AOC is. But again, this is more of a, we'll give you a 6th-round pick, a 5th-round pick as a flyer, and maybe he turns out to be something. At number 7 here, it's Jake Browning, and out of all the quarterbacks on this list, Browning's the one that I'm worried that he might turn into like a Matt Flynn, or he gets a big-time deal and then he sucks, or does he get a deal that's like, Could he be the next Baker Mayfield? And what do I mean by that? A quarterback that nobody thinks is very good, ends up getting a start at a certain place and just gets put in the right system like Baker was this past season with Tampa Bay and ends up showing that he can produce, because he did a good job for Cincinnati. Once Burrow went down, everybody was like, this season's over. And he was at least able to step in, be a reasonable quarterback for the Bengals. Yes, and a great offense, but I'm curious to see where Browning goes. To me, he is still just a backup or a very below average starter in the league. Let's go to number 6 now. This is where the names start to get, I'll call them, legitimate. Do I think Ryan Tannehill should be a starting quarterback in 2024? No, I do not. But if the Raiders said to me, all right, Mitch, we're going to take Ryan Tannehill, we're going to sign him to a very cheap contract, maybe let's say $10 to $15 million range, and then we are going to draft a quarterback, potentially like Bo Nix or something like that, to learn behind Tannehill for a year, I wouldn't love the idea, but it also wouldn't be the craziest thing that the Raiders have thrown out at me in the past few years. Something that is crazy, people that just time and time again are okay with getting lackluster sleep. To me, there is nothing more important that you can do than get a good night's rest. And today's episode is brought to you by 8 Sleep, the high-tech solution to your age-old sleeping issues. 8 Sleep's Pod 3 cover slips right over your mattress, bringing heat and cooling tech that keeps you comfortable and sleeping deeper for a better, more restful night. I love 8 Sleep because it has totally stopped my night sweats. I like to snuggle with my dog Chuck, and well, Alex, she's not too bad either. And they're both like a heater. Thanks to 8 Sleep, I don't want to wake up sweating, and I get a better night's sleep. The pod cover will improve your sleep by automatically adjusting your bed's temperature based on your individual needs. The cover can be added to any bed like a fitted sheet and allows you and your partner to cool or warm your side of the bed as low as, listen to this, 55 degrees and up to 110 degrees. Alex, if you ever crank up the bed to 110, I don't know. You might be walking down the aisle with Chuck. That's all I'm saying. In addition to keeping you in your perfect temperature all night, the pod also tracks your sleep and health metrics. On average, pod users, their sleep quality improved by 32% after just 1 month on the pod. Go to 8sleep.com/chatsports and get $200 off plus free shipping on the pod cover by 8 Sleep. Start the new year right and invest in the rest you deserve with the 8 Sleep pod. I'll tell you this right now. I might have just bit off more than I could chew with Alex. If anyone who's getting kicked out of the bed and sleeping on the couch, it's definitely me. Let's go to number 5 here. It's Trey Lance from the Dallas Cowboys, and this one is, again, just based on upside. If the Raiders want to go this, I'll call it Jordan Love, this Packers route where they're going to sign a free agent quarterback and then they're going to draft somebody and let them learn behind, here's a crazy idea, okay? What if you signed a quarterback who's going to be up here in the list, and then you also sign Trey Lance, and then you keep pick number 13 open to just build in the draft? It could be another idea to throw out there if you want a young quarterback, because Lance is only like 22 years old, would be one of the youngest quarterbacks in this class, and just let him learn behind the veteran if, like, you want to go that type of realm. I don't love Lance. I've never loved Lance. I thought that the 49ers did the wrong thing. But if you're going based off of project, because I don't think Bo Nix is ready to start right away. I don't think that Michael Penix Jr. is ready to start right away. I don't think J.J. McCarthy is ready to start away. I'll tell you right now, I'd rather the Raiders sign a guy like Trey Lance instead of draft a dude like J.J. McCarthy. I'll say that right freaking now. Let's go to number 4. It's Baker Mayfield. And again, this is another jump up in these tiers. If you're going to go out and sign a QB, I'm a believer. I've said it 100 times that he ends up just going back with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I mean, this dude had 28 touchdowns, 10 interceptions, ended up winning that division, ended up winning the playoff game on a team that nobody ever thought had a chance in hell to be successful. I'm going to give my flowers to Baker Mayfield because he absolutely deserves it. Let's go to number 3, Justin Fields. I don't know what to do with Justin Fields. I would be shocked if the Raiders decided to trade for Fields and repair him with Luke Getsy, because over the past 2 years, Fields has not been good with Getsy. But the problem is, when I just go through and I look at all those other quarterbacks, to me, Justin has to be on this list. And in terms of my confidence level, Justin Fields would be my 3rd quarterback that I would trust in a Getsy offense compared to all those other guys. Not because I love Fields, not because I'm confident what he did with Getsy, but because I don't think that any of those other quarterbacks are the right fit in what the Raiders personally need. So, should the Raiders pair Luke Getsy and Justin Fields together again? Give me a Y for yes, or I want you to type your N for no. To me, if you answer yes, you better give me some reasons behind it. Maybe you think the receivers are better. I just think it would be a very dumb thing for the Raiders to do to pair these two back together. But then again, I've seen the Raiders do a lot of dumb things through my time working here at Chat Sports and being a Raider fan. Let's go to number 2, and this is where it gets serious. These are the top 2 candidates for the Raiders, and this is how it should be. If you're going to sign a veteran, if you're going to sign a free agent quarterback, it's one of these top 2 guys. Kirk Cousins. I don't know if it's going to cost $30 million, $35 million. It could cost $45 million. I'm not paying Kirk Cousins over $40 million a year after he ruptured his Achilles. And I do think if you're Las Vegas, you got to be cautious about this, because what you don't want is what you had last season, a brand new quarterback having to learn a brand new system that was unable to practice the entire offseason. I'm anticipating Cousins coming back probably in July sometime, which means you're going to have another brand new quarterback learning a brand new system that none of your players are going to be able to work with him in the offseason. I get what Kirk is. He's the best quarterback that I'm going to mention here on this list. But is Kirk Cousins good enough to compete with Patrick Mahomes? Is Kirk Cousins good enough to get you over the hump? To me, it just seems like a little bit of an upgrade over Derek Carr, which now means number 1 here is Russell Wilson. And let me clarify, Russell Wilson, the only reason why he is number 1 on my list is based on the whole if he signs for the vet min theory. If you don't know what the vet min theory is, look up Russell Wilson Raiders Report on YouTube. I got a whole video outlining all of that. But, let's keep it a buck here, right? If you can get Wilson, who is a top 12-ish quarterback at $1.21 million, and then that also allows you to build a better team around him, and you still want to go out and draft a quarterback, I don't think it's the worst thing possible. I will admit, Wilson to me is probably a better quarterback under center than he is in shotgun, and I do anticipate that Getsy is going to run a lot more shotgun and a lot more screens than what people think, but he's also a lot more mobile than a dude like Kirk Cousins. So Russell Wilson, he has the AFC West experience. I do think Antonio Pierce and Tom Telesco should personally choose between these 2 guys, but let's help him out here a little bit. If you had to pick between Russell Wilson and Kirk Cousins, let's say those are your options. Devontae Adams wants a veteran quarterback. The Raiders want a veteran quarterback. They want to be able to have a young guy in the draft that learns underneath one of these dudes. Who are you going with? Are you going to pay? And again, this is based off of you're paying Kirk Cousins, let's say $35 million a year, or you're going to pay Russell Wilson the vet min. Because if it's Russell Wilson at 35 or Kirk Cousins at 35, I will take Kirk Cousins at $35 million every single day of the week and twice again on Sunday. So let me know, KC for Kirk Cousins or RW for Russell Wilson. That's all the time that we got for today. If you made it this far in the video, we got to be doing something right. So let's roll through this list one more time. If you want to tag me on Instagram, if you want to tag me on Twitter, I am at MitchellRentz365. And friendly reminder, if any breaking news happens this entire week, my guy, Jeremy Chuggs, he's got you covered. I'm in Paris with Alex. It's our 4-year anniversary, so I wanted to do something special. And if any big-time things end up going down, Jeremy Chuggs has got you guys covered. You might see me on the live, but give him a follow to stay up to date on all things going on around the silver and black.